They say knowledge is power, but what if everything we know is wrong? From the mighty dinosaurs that once ruled the earth, to a shark that could sense cancer, to machines that gave birth to addiction and death. And foxes, bred not for survival, but for science. Every story hides a truth, and tonight, we uncover them all. Welcome to Mystix. Most people think they know dinosaurs, giant, scaly reptiles that ruled the earth millions of years ago. But not everything we've learned is correct. Some creatures that we often call dinosaurs aren't technically dinosaurs at all. So what makes a dinosaur a dinosaur? Scientists classify dinosaurs based on their hip structure. True dinosaurs have hips positioned in a way that supports upright walking. Creatures like pterosaurs or Dimetrodon, which many movies show alongside dinosaurs, don't have this hip structure, so they aren't classified as dinosaurs. Even some enormous prehistoric reptiles like Mosasaurus or Megalodon were not dinosaurs. On the other hand, some creatures you might think weren't dinosaurs actually were. For example, Triceratops, Stegosaurus, and Brachiosaurus are true dinosaurs, and many of them were massive, towering over humans. Another misconception is their appearance. Many people imagine dinosaurs as slow, lumbering, scaly giants. In reality, some were fast, agile, and even covered in feathers. For instance, velociraptors had feathers, not scales. As paleontologists discover more fossils, they constantly revise our understanding. Some species commonly thought of as dinosaurs are actually closer to birds or other prehistoric lineages, showing that our picture of prehistoric life is still evolving. So next time you think of a T-Rex, Stegosaurus, or Brachiosaurus, remember, not everything that looks like a dinosaur actually is one, and the reality is far more fascinating than the movies. From the mysterious giants that roamed the earth millions of years ago to the shocking twists of fate in our modern world, the story of discovery never ends. On a sunny California day, Eugene Finney and his family were enjoying a peaceful vacation at Huntington Beach. Suddenly, a massive shark appeared, its jaws wide and teeth glistening. It lunged at Eugene, biting his body with terrifying force. One would expect a fatal attack, yet after only a few heart-stopping seconds, the shark released him and disappeared into the waves. The shock of the encounter was immense, but the true twist came later at the hospital. Medical scans revealed a tumor in Eugene's spine, roughly the size of a grapefruit, growing silently for months without his knowledge. The thought that a massive apex predator, the shark, had indirectly saved his life by prompting immediate medical attention is astonishing. Imagine a creature weighing hundreds of kilograms, striking fear and power, unknowingly steering fate by revealing a hidden killer inside his body. This story shows how fragile life can be and how fate sometimes works in mysterious ways. But what exactly is cancer? Cancer is a disease in which cells multiply uncontrollably, forming tumors that can grow to enormous sizes, sometimes unnoticed for years. The tumor in Eugene's spine, though small compared to the shark, was capable of silently threatening his life, a hidden giant lurking within his own body. Historians tell us that humans have been aware of tumors for thousands of years. Ancient Egyptian physicians like Imhotep described abnormal swellings around 3000 BC, while Greek physician Hippocrates coined the words carcinos and carcinoma to describe tumors because some resembled the shape of a crab. Roman physician Galen later studied these growths in detail. Centuries later, scientists like Rudolf Virchow discovered that cancer arises from abnormal cells in tissues, forming the foundation of modern oncology. Today, thanks to early detection and medical advances, cancer can sometimes be treated before it becomes fatal. But sometimes, cancer doesn't come from nature or fate. It comes from our own hands, from something humanity created, spread, and defended for decades: cigarettes. Cigarettes, one of the most profitable yet deadly inventions in human history. What started as simple rolled tobacco leaves centuries ago soon became a multi-billion-dollar empire that would change the world and kill millions. It all began in the late 1800s when a young man named James Bonsack invented the first cigarette-making machine. Before his invention, workers could only roll about 200 cigarettes per hour by hand. Bonsack's machine could roll more than 100,000 every single day. This revolution turned tobacco companies into unstoppable giants. Brands like Philip Morris, R.J. Reynolds, and British American tobacco began their rise, spreading cigarettes across every continent. Movies, ads, and even doctors once claimed smoking was healthy. The world believed the lie, but in the 1950s, cracks began to appear. Researchers noticed that lung cancer cases were skyrocketing, and smokers were dying young. One scientist, Dr. Ernst Winder, conducted experiments that revealed the horrifying truth: cigarettes were poison. Yet tobacco companies denied everything. They paid scientists, manipulated media, and buried data for decades. Then came the whistleblowers, brave insiders who exposed the lies. One of them, Jeffrey Wigand, risked everything to tell the world that companies were adding chemicals to make nicotine even more addictive. He became the ultimate enemy of big tobacco. And so, a war began between science and greed, truth and profit. Even today, the tobacco industry remains powerful, reinventing itself through e-cigarettes and vaping. But history will always remember how one machine he created for profit became the spark that fueled one of humanity's deadliest habits. Humanity has always tried to control nature, from shaping habits with smoke to shaping life itself with genes. In the cold heart of Siberia, a strange experiment began. Scientists wanted to do something no one had ever tried before: to domesticate wild foxes. At first, it wasn't about science, it was about fur. The Soviet government wanted foxes that were easier to breed and less aggressive to harvest their luxurious coats. But then came a man named Dmitry Belyaev, a geneticist with a bigger vision. He didn't just want tamer foxes, he wanted to understand how evolution itself works. Could natural selection be guided by human hands? Belyaev started carefully choosing the calmest foxes from every generation. Only the ones that showed less fear toward humans were allowed to breed. Generation after generation, he noticed something incredible. The foxes began to change, not just in behavior, but in appearance. Their ears started to droop, their tails curled. Even the color of their fur changed. They wagged their tails and sought human affection, just like dogs. Something extraordinary was happening. By selecting for friendliness, Belyaev was accidentally changing their biology. Their hormones, brain chemistry, even their growth patterns, all were shifting. He realized that tameness and physical traits were linked at the genetic level. The experiment proved that evolution could be guided, shaped, even accelerated. This was more than just breeding foxes. It was about understanding how wild becomes gentle and how nature responds when kindness becomes the rule of survival. Decades later, the descendants of those foxes still live in Russia, playful, affectionate, and proof that evolution doesn't always need millions of years. Sometimes, all it takes is a few generations and a little bit of trust. If you enjoyed this journey into the secrets of nature, you'll love our previous video about the most amazing creatures ever discovered. Click here to watch and explore the wonders we've uncovered.